Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Frederick Hurst's YouTube channel. I use my middle name rather than my first name because many years ago I had to change my email address. And so I just decided to stick with my middle name in terms of my YouTube channel because it just made things easier. So this is the second poem in a series of poems I wrote many years ago, and it actually reflects my experience of briefly being homeless many, many years ago when I was living in Boston, Massachusetts. It is an experience that was thankfully very short-lived and was not the prolonged period of suffering that many people experience who are homeless. But it left me with some images, it left me with some thoughts and some imaginary encounters, which I actually never had, but which also drew from the experience of people who I worked with as a mental health counselor many years later, and who shared some of their stories with me. And the totality of these experiences came up with the following words and the following poem. It's called No Room for the Likes of You. No room for the likes of you. The words of the doorman are like failed incantations. They do not eliminate my corporeal homeless mass. Even after he has gesticulated with the swagger of an army recruiter, I remain, seeking only the use of the hotel washroom to remove the remnants of my concrete mattress from the night before. The hotel doorman executes his orders without sentimentality or remorse. He is a seasoned centurion, a hotel professional, committed to his task of ensuring that only those adorned in silver and gold may enter. He is not perturbed by how those he does admit resemble the wax figures in Madame Tussauds exhibit. I move on. A man dressed in an American flag catches my eye. He looks like a ripened tomato whose skin grows redder with every word he shouts. His gaze is like that of a telescopic scope found on assault rifles. No room for the pagan followers of Jefferson or FDR, he bellows. I approach. As I do so, he identifies himself as a Tea Party official. He cites the water fountain as his perimeter, a domestic 39th parallel that will only admit those who renounce multiculturalism, feminism, and affirmative action. I move on. Still thirsty, but unstained by his vitriol. I know my thirst will pass, while the ranting of the man dressed in red, white, and blue is unquenchable. I move on. Memories arise, and I allow them to remain in my consciousness. One serves as a traveling companion through the seasons. It is the memory of a doctor adorned in a white coat. He asks if I remember what he last said to me when I visited his clinic. Yes, I reply. You said you had room for me. That the price of admission was a formality. That I only need take the blue pills that reduce my voice to a whisper and eviscerate my soul. He nods. I remind this memory how I responded, how I played the devil's advocate, arguing that his offer of hospitality failed to do justice to the human condition. Rejecting his panacea because it left no room for the passions that free men from the grip of tyrants. My voice rises as I remind him that courage and love are not qualities that can be quantified. I offer the image of a union organizer standing his ground as the blows of Pinkerton strike busters rain down upon his head. The memory gets the hint. It takes its leave. It understands that my essence has decided to remain in transit until there is a place where love and hate can coexist within me, where sorrow and joy understand that fellowship is the right of all humankind. I toy with the thought of a world where such room exists, where those with wounded souls are as welcome as the able-bodied. I find myself humming as I ponder the thought of not being treated like a virus. I allow myself a moment of optimism, not just for myself, but for humanity as well. I imagine grandparents educating their nephews and nieces about the need to honor those with wounded souls. I hear them instructing the young in what it means to be human. I dare to speak to them directly. I tell them that in making room for one such as me, they will be making room for the multitudes. I tell them of the Spirit's invisible and immutable march towards justice. I offload the images that have sustained my body and soul. I dance so that they understand how such images became attached to my soul. The image of this gathering lingers. It ends when one of the children I imagine steps away from a paternal figure and approaches me without fear. He says that he will build a road, one that is wide enough for not just himself, but for all those who may travel with him. He pledges to seek out the man with the wounded soul and ask him to join him on his journey. The thought of such an act heals and lifts the pain of past generation from my shoulders. I walk on towards yet another community resource center, but my heart no longer filled with just despair or bitterness, but with something more enduring, more transformative. It is the knowledge that I am no longer just a man with a wounded soul. All right. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with my few stops and starts. I hope this piece was enjoyable. And there will be another piece next week. Once again, donations are welcome to anyone who wishes to support my work as a singer, writer, actor. And I am on Venmo at Frederick Hurst at Venmo.com and also at PayPal at jf58liverpool@gmail.com. All right, stay well, be safe, be kind to each other, and love and blessings to anyone who decided to check out this recording. Bye-bye.